What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Challenge Live. I'm the commish, Ben Klein, and this is our Week 9 recap edition. Going to break it down and give you all the awesomeness that went on in Week 9 of the Hardcore Challenge. So, first off, let's give out our call-in number. In case anybody wants to call in. Got some you want to get off your chest, want to bitch about your fantasy team, want to bitch about how it's not working out for you, want to bitch about your football team, whatever. Get it off your chest. Vent. So, Week 9 is in the books. And we are officially in the playoff run for the 2016 Hardcore Challenge regular season. Are you still alive in the playoff race? Or are you flatlining? Because a lot of you are flatlining. The list of owners that you can throw dirt on has really grown this week. We had Roid Ragers. We had the 5-3 Bandits. And we had Donkey Punch. Started off the list. Now you added Vandalay Industries. And you've added King Salami to the mix. That's pretty much 5 out of the 20 that are pretty much walking dead. So 25% of our league is pretty much dead in the water right now. Proven historically, 6 losses in the Hardcore Challenge will put you out. There has been a couple teams that have made it with 6 losses before. We've even had a 7-7 team make it once, but that is a rarity, and that does not happen very often. So, sorry, I didn't mean to touch the screen, but, you know, I don't know if you guys have noticed. Let me vent for a second. As this is only the second episode that I've had with this full screen nonsense, and I don't know if I like it or not. I'm still dealing with it. I'm gonna have to change everything up because I don't like how the backdrop looks now that it's not just the square, and I gotta change it all. I've gotta fuck with shit that's not broken. Just irritating. I tried to figure out what was wrong with it. I had Mr. Stone trying to help me out. We was trying to troubleshoot it. I was gonna mess with something. So, alright, back to football. So, like I was saying, 25% of our league is pretty much dead in the water already. But this is really the most important part of the fantasy football season as we're in the playoff push, the teams that are still alive. This is when the owners really get to prove their worth and why we have the owners that we have in the Hardcore Challenge. Because now even these owners that are out, they are still expected to game it every week. We expect you to play spoilers. We expect you to try and knock off the teams that are still fighting. Because there are teams that are fighting tooth and nail for a playoff spot. I'm one of them. I'm only 4-5, but I'm right in the mix. I probably got to run the table the rest of the way. But you know what? If I run the table the rest of the way, I want to know the guys that I'm chasing are having to fight tooth and nail every week too. And that's why this league is the way it is. So, all of you that are out, please keep fighting. I know you still will, but keep up the good fight. Overall, it was another great week of football in the Hardcore Challenge, as it is almost every week. So let's recap the awesomeness that went down in Week 9 of the Hardcore Challenge. Now let's start off by mentioning the stat corrections, because last week there were some nasty stat corrections. Skull Crushers and Pale Horseman bitched and pissed and moaned all week about stat corrections and ended up taking a loss. And then you had Des Caught It, who I put in the game of the week, supposed to be battling it out at 5-3 and 5-3, battling for second place in the Dirty South. Well, one of them ended up being 4-4 because Des Caught It lost with 4 stat corrections for Roid Ragers, costing them multiple points and costing them to lose. That was rough. 2 losses by stat corrections in a week. And we've got some very close games again this week, so it is realistic that you could see some stat corrections possibly coming into play again this week. That is for sure. That is a definite and distinct possibility that you could see that. So, let's start out with taking a look at the Great White North Division. We had a very close game in the Great White North with I'm Thinking Arby's. It looked like Skull Crushers was going to take them down, but it did not happen as I'm Thinking Arby's again pulls out a big win. Tight win, 148 to 144 over Skull Crushers. Also in the Great White North Division, you had I Am Groot putting up huge numbers. Huge numbers. Second highest scoring team in the league for the week. Vandalay put up impressive numbers as well, scoring 141 in the loss. However, Vandalay joins the Walking Dead by taking their 6th loss of the season and dropping to 3-6. Pretty much, most likely eliminating them from playoff contention this year. So, when you're looking at the Great White North, I Am Groot has a very, very outside chance at 4-5. They would just about have to run the table. And then you've got I'm Thinking Arby's 7-1-1. Couple games back, you got 5-4 Johnsonville Brats. Brats is really going to have to bring it, man, the rest of the way and hope for Arby's to slip up a couple times to even have a shot. That's pretty much a 2-horse race right now. That's pretty much a 2-horse race. So, now moving over to the Elite East. The Pale Horsemen finally broke their 3-game skid after they started off 5-0, were the hottest team in the league, looked like they were giant killers. Then dropped 3 straight and we were all questioning. Well, they came out and they had a big game this week as Matty Ice put up the points for them again. They scored 137. They caught King Salami on just an absolute decimated team by bye weeks. Their whole bench was full of byes. They had a quarterback on bye. They had nothing to offer for that week. They just, I mean, it is what it is, man. Sometimes you hit them crazy bye weeks and it just kills you. There's nothing you can do. There ain't that many waiver wires. You can't empty your whole roster to fill. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, Pale Horseman bounces back. So, they're looking like they're in control of the Elite East. But, only 2 games back, even though they are sub-500 teams. You've got Oski Assassins, who slipped. You've got Cheesehead, who slipped and lost. And then you've got the Bison Broncos, who have won 2 in a row and have climbed up. So you've got those 3 teams sitting at 4-5. Only 2 games behind the 6-3 Pale Horsemen. Of course, the division schedule is coming back around. That means these teams are all going to have to play each other. So if a couple of these teams can hand Pale Horsemen a loss, and any one of those 3 teams can get hot, they could be right back in it. It's very interesting. Kind of a little on the south of that division. It's kind of a crappy looking division record-wise, but somebody's got to win the crown, and somebody's going to the playoffs side of that division. Pale Horseman looks like the front runner, but like I'm saying, Bison Broncos has won 2 straight, and they've climbed up to 4-5. They beat them head-to-head. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different game. All right. The Wild West is also getting very, very close, and this is a 2-horse race as well. You've got Stinky Pinky sitting at 5-3-1 with Tama Terrors sitting right behind them at 5-4. This is only a half-game lead for Stinky Pinky. These 2 were the 2 that came up tied last year that caused a rule change. Tama Terrors won their first division crown. These guys have tied before, and before Stinky Pinky won the tiebreaker. So these guys are arch rivals, and to see it coming down to Tama Terrors and Stinky Pinky again after all the drama last season is a pretty exciting division race. So that one's going to be interesting as well. That one's going to be interesting as well. Because you know why? Those 2 play each other this week. Half game difference. Possible game of the week. We will see, because there's some other really good matchups this week as well. Now, speaking of game of the week, the game of the week that turned out to be the game of the week that shouldn't have been in the game of the week because of the stat corrections that dropped Des Caught to 4-4, because I probably wouldn't have named him the game of the week if it was 4-4 against a 5-3, because there's some other top, higher ranked games than that. But, nonetheless, they were game of the week on a technicality, so game of the week they were. I predicted a big win for Renegade Misfits, and they came through as I moved to 6-3 on my game of the week predictions. Renegade Misfits beat Des Caught It 134-26. for their second win in head-to-head matchups this season. Their overall record goes to 6-3, while Des Cottet drops to 4-5. Now, historically, Renegade Misfits is now 8-4 against Des Cottet. A true difference maker, Drew Brees, as I predicted, threw for 323 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, and picked up 35 points. Des Cottet historically has now become an easy win for Renegade Misfits as a division foe in the Dirty South. They own him, 8-4, and they swept him this season. So, Renegade Misfits, thank you. You've moved me to 6-3. You kept my game of the week predictions true, and Des Cottet lost a tough one after losing one the week before on a stat correction. So, it's rough. It's rough. Now, with that being said, let's look at what that actually did to the division race in the Dirty South. I faltered, and my 4-game winning streak ended against They See Me Rollin. I got to give Rollins credit. They made the big trade for Mark Ingram, and Mark Ingram won them the freaking game. If it wasn't for Mark Ingram, I would have won that game, although my 3 wide receivers completely flanked out. Not a single one of them got me double digits, and the loss is totally on their shoulders. You guys suck. The Rams suck. Yeah, Tavon Austin is awesome. Get in the freaking ball. Come on, man. I tell you. But, so, you've got the 8-1, They See Me Rollin', number 1 on the power rankings, number 1 team in the league right now. Sitting right behind them in second place, only 2 games back. You've got the Beaver Street Roar at 6-3, and you got Renegade Misfits at 6-3, coming off their game of the week victory. Right behind that, you got myself, Big Mac Attack, tied at 4-5 with Des Cottet. We're not out of it. We're still in the wild card race. Probably no chance in hell we're going to catch They See Me Rollin'. Now, the other 2, on the other hand, Beaver Street Roar and Renegade Misfits, they are only 2 games back, and we are just last week, started heavy into the second round of divisional matchups. So, the Dirty South is looking like the strongest division in the league this season, and it's going to be a dogfight till the end, it looks like. And it's going to be us going head-to-head against each other as to how it shakes out and who's going to win the crown. I know my next 3 games are all division games. I've just got done with Rollins, so I had a run of 4 division games in a row. That is going to decide my season. I know I need to run the table. I've probably got to finish 9-5 and hope to grab a wild card. It's the only way I'm going to make the playoffs. It is what it is. Unless They See Me Rollin' just absolutely freaking falls apart. I don't see that happening. They've been pretty solid thus far, so I do not see that happening. So, They See Me Rollin', still our top dog, number 1 in the power rankings. Still, number 2, unmoved, is I'm Thinking RBs, sitting at number 2 on the power rankings. Number 3, however, on the power rankings, is not even a division leader. It is the Beaver Street Roar, sitting at number 3 on the power rankings. The number 4 on the power rankings is the Elite East, leading Pale Horseman. And then jumping back to the Dirty South again, number 5 on the power rankings is the Renegade Misfits. 3 out of the top 5 in the power rankings are sitting in the Dirty South. By far, the strongest division thus far, and it's going to be a dogfight till the end. So, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night. We've got some very interesting matchups. You got Beaver Street Roar playing They See Me Rollin', which directly will impact the top of the Dirty South. They can't knock Rollins off the top, but what they could do is pull it within a game with a big win. Possible game of the week right there. You've also got Stinky Pinky, Tama Terrace playing atop the Wild West, only a half game apart between the 2 of them. Winner takes first place. Also, possible game of the week. You've got I'm Thinking RBs, first place, number 2 on the power rankings. Playing second place in the Dirty South, Renegade Misfits, just coming off a big win in game of the week. Also, another huge game, possible game of the week. So, make sure you turn in tomorrow night. See who's selected as game of the week as we will unveil it and break it down. So, same time tomorrow night, boys and girls. Tune in, Game of the Week edition. make sure this Friday, folks, is the trade deadline, November 11th. And if you want to make a playoff push and you need to make a move, you better make it now. You are drastically running out of time. That 48-hour approval time goes into effect. So you know what that means? Do the freaking math. You need to make a move on the 9th. Are you ready for the challenge? Good luck. Game on.